Hello, and welcome to Construction Tech, presented by House Accelerator, a catalyst of zero carbon building. We're happy you're here. We welcome all comers to our exploration of how to slash the greenhouse gas emissions of our buildings and make them more resilient to the extreme temperatures, wild weather, and grid insecurity caused by climate change. With our co-hosts, Kevin Brennan, Shannon Pendleton, Sean St. Amour, and Mark Willey, we produce this weekly series to dive into the details of passive house construction practice, with a technical focus on technique and technology in the field. New to all of this, please visit the Passive House 101 section of our website to get started. With that, please enjoy Construction Tech and pose your questions in chat for the discussion session following the presentation. Thank you.
All right, Ubergreat PHKUPS by Safi with Ubergreen Spaces. So to give you a little bit of history. So I did grow up in construction, and with my brothers and I, we helped our father at a very young age. And so it was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed it and always kept me curious. And, you know, that curiosity went on to civil engineering at the University of Cincinnati. And that 5-year degree actually got more exposure for commercial construction, plan spec, design, build. You know, I worked for an architectural engineering firm. So, you know, I had 3 different co-op experiences, which was really nice and eye-opening. And then after graduation, I worked for a very large commercial CM, building schools, hospitals, multifamily, things like that, that really broadens your scope of what construction and design can be. But along the way, it became a little more frustrating. You know, in 2006, that's why I went ahead and started GCCM Construction Services, because a lot of times, and say, I remember like a hospital project we're building, you know, hearing the owners come up to you and say, this is not performing. You're like, well, we're building exactly how you have it on plan and spec. And, you know, talk to your engineer, talk to your architect, you know, they're the ones that stamp the drawings. We're doing exactly how it's shown. But, you know, that was a constant issue that came up. You know, we would get blamed for a lack of performance. And so that made me want to be, you know, looking at the process and try to improve things by, you know, when in 2006, I started GCCM Construction Services to do CM work, but to do it in a collaborative way, where I had some involvement with the design. Because, you know, you being in the field and, you know, trying to build it, you obviously learn about construction means and methods. You learn about the industry. You learn about what's going on out there, what works, what may not work. And so, you know, with that, you know, in our first commercial project, immediately also saw, you know, we're working for a nonprofit, very large commercial building, a school and a community center. And you know, the folks that were on the board, they're on a nonprofit. So like they all had day jobs, and they're essentially coming to me asking questions like, well, what's this change? What is a change? Or what is this? What's going on? So they didn't really understand construction, not commercial construction at least. But then as I started explaining things, a light bulb went off, and they're like, oh, well, when I had my house built or when I had a renovation, so everything kind of related back to a house that may help them make sense. But then immediately came those complaints about, you know, the lack of performance of the home and, you know, the discomfort and come see this, come fix this. It's like, you know, so being a good, you know, person that's, you know, building something for this nonprofit, I go and I check out these things, and it becomes very frustrating early on. It's like, man, you know, something could be done better here. And this is like 2006 or 2008, you know, I see the Lead for Homes pilot program come out, and I'm like, well, okay, this has got a lot of great things on here. And it looks like it's touching on all these challenges that, you know, that's really missing in the residential industry. And so I kind of took a little offense to that, in the sense that, you know, we're working really hard in commercial construction. You got a lot of folks that are being diligent about design and checks and balances, and, you know, making sure at least it's done right. And that's relatively speaking. And so, I'm like, well, we need to apply some of these techniques and diligence to residential. And I thought, well, Lead for Homes looks like a great idea. So I found somebody, they're willing to go along with it. And so, we 2006 through 2008, we gathered a bunch of folks that were interested in doing something different, and in doing lead. And we found a client that was interested in doing it, and they're like, and they're willing to allow us to basically test out these theories and products and methods that everybody's kind of scared of because they didn't really believe. And so this is just a little entertainment for you all, a video that we threw together early on, because this mind you is in Louisville, Kentucky. And it's a bit challenging, certainly, just a little back history on Kentucky in general. Folks jokingly say, like Mark Twain said it best, if the world were to end today, I'd move to Kentucky because they're 20 years behind everyone else. And so there is some truth behind that. And the methods and code is, I think we're still on like 2006 or 2009 building code for residential, so it's still back behind there. And so we needed to basically put some videos out there to help legitimize and let people see the different techniques. And I'll just play this one real quick. Can y'all hear it?
Hey, Zach. Hi, Si. How are you? Great. Good to see you. Good to see you, too. Those are hand-scraped hickory. Wow. Both FSC certified and formaldehyde-free. Kind of a different countertop.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's really heavy, too. It seems really durable.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is great. And I can see there's no lights on it.
No lights on? Yeah.
Not at all. Zach, I could take up your whole day here. I feel like I'm a kid in a candy store.
Dave. Hi, how you doing? Good. Great to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for taking the time out of your day.
So this whole combination here gives you your heating and cooling for your house and your hot water at the cheapest possible way to get it.
Right.
I don't care how well you insulate in between these studs, you'll still get energy transfer going through the studs themselves.
Where has this thing been all my life? I mean, this is what I want. And this is something that we definitely want to be able to use in the home. Right. So what am I looking at here? You got a can light in a ceiling of a home?
Can light in the ceiling of a home.
So
Exactly.
above the ceiling is the attic?
That's the attic, and so
Okay.
it was insulated at the flat level there.
Okay. After you get done with your clothes, you pull it out, put it on top, fold it all up, and then take it to wherever you got to store it.
He's trying to get one that'll fold your clothes, but they don't have it yet.
Oh, is that right? Well, when they do, you let me know about that. I want that.
Almost half of our nation's energy consumption goes towards powering our homes and buildings. Now, that's expensive, and we could do something about it. Right here on this vacant lot, we're going to build one of Kentucky's most greenest, energy-efficient homes.
We kept on moving from there. So what's funny is that it's not really funny, but I'm typically pretty reserved. And so as I'm working on this stuff, everybody that wanted to gather around me to do these things that were different are like, you really need to put this out there. You really need to share it. You need this. So I'm like, all right, fine. So we had to do a little acting. We had to do a little drama. We had to like make it appeal to, what, folks are used to seeing on HGTV and DIY, just so that, give it some credibility as best you can. And so a little entertainment there. But interestingly, and sadly, things haven't changed a whole lot when it comes to the energy consumption with homes and buildings, from what I said back then in 2006. But the great thing is that things are becoming more mainstream, and and a lot of these techniques you'll see here, we've worked to improve and improve on materials and stuff. And so here you can see some of these pictures. This was insulation underneath the slab. It was a crazy idea, oh, you're nuts. And so, we just made sure we engineered the right stuff, and we did it. And that gentleman standing in there is Bill. He's 70 some odd years old, and he could swear that he could walk in his wood shop that's right about there, barefoot on the slab in the winter, and be real comfortable. So here's some more pictures of the basement. We did ICF all the way up. And we actually did it all the way up on the exterior walls. and then some cool things we did too is we actually on the right there, on right corner, you see there's a porch, but what we did was we created a cistern, a rainwater collection tank underneath it. So we capture all the rainwater off the roof. We worked with our sprinkler folks, and we invented, well, I would say invented, but we made a system that would not use the city water, that the meter that services the irrigation. It would use the water in the cistern first, and then if it got so low, we had a float that went down, and then it would turn a valve, and then it would open up city water to use the city water pressure instead of like using energy to use the pump that we had there, which is really cool. Then we did solar. Which is really neat about this too is that we ended up only needing 15 panels to get to net zero, which is pretty, it's, back then when you think about it, people that were trying to jump on solar early on for a home like this, they had to do like 60, 80, even more panels to get to like zero or net zero. And we only needed 15, which is pretty amazing. And this is cool. Like we had some happy homeowners. There's Bill and Linda. We got LEED platinum. We also got net zero water, just for the amount of water we collected. I think it was a 3,000 or 4,000 gallon cistern. And we were all like geeked about the way that, this energy monitoring that we had, and some of the cool things like down below here. I don't know if you can see it, but it says that for the amount of energy we produced for whatever day we took this screenshot, for one day we could power 404 houses, which is pretty phenomenal. And then, they got these little odometers. It shows that we're producing more power than we're using. And then, which is really cool, we had sensors on every one of the circuit breakers, so we can just follow what was being used. And, you could see the activity of what's happening in the house. And they were cool with that. But it's neat to see the rooms that people prioritize and then the rooms that they don't even use. And it's like, do you need that space? Not really. But that was really cool. Here's a wall detail just so you see. We did ICF all the way up. We did insulation at the below the slab, and there are some things I'll note here, but then we up in the ceiling we did do a blown-in cellulose, which, like I say, was not a fun idea later to have to get up there and cut in like a solar tube or just do anything up top. There was no fun. But this was a pretty stout home, and the way we approached the detail with the walls and backfilling and things like that, we approached it similar to commercial construction, where we backfill, compacted, and so those are things that aren't usually typical in residential. So here, Ubergreat fuck up opportunities. So ICF wall all the way up unless your client wants to pay for it. So back in interestingly, this project didn't happen when we wanted it to happen in 2006, because in 2008, because the economy went to hell, and the neighborhood that it was in went to foreclosure, and so the owners waited 4 years, and we actually did in 2012. But it was pretty awesome that they did wait around and that we were able to make it happen. So we keeping the same ICF, some more fuck ups, keep the same ICF block on each floor. So if you look back here, we went from an 8, I think it switched to a 6 or 6 to a 4. I can't remember. Yeah, it was 6 to a 4. That was not a fun detail. We thought we were being smart by saving money. And that was no fun. In the scenario like this, you learn that you're mixing commercial with residential, where most residential trades are not familiar with attaching their work to ICF. So, either you got to do some training of them to help them understand how to be able to work with that, or really you're going to end up limiting your pile of folks that you can get. Like we had electricians that would not work on a job because of just being able to run their wires. And so there's ways of getting around that. Put mesh in your slab, they're going to freak out. If you compact it 100% with your stone and you pour, it should be fine over the right density type of insulation. So you're looking at probably 1.8 pound density of insulation, or another insulated product that would be able to take that weight. Blown in cellulose was not fun. And if you get up there, you got to suit up sometimes. You got to really wear masks and stuff. Pre-engineered trusses, they could be much more costlier than your frames being able to do it. It is kind of tough, certainly, when it comes to detailing in your air barrier and stuff like that. In this case, we had to obviously go with the drywall ceiling because they did a blown in. But if you're going to spend the money on a crane, you might as well do it panelized, which is what we've obviously learned after time. Try not to give away too much of your concessions. This was the first type of project we put out there. It was a long time ago. No one was doing anything like it. But we did give away, actually we owned the solar array. We took it back later, put it on another project, but the upgrade to ICF, geothermal, spray foam, zero VOC finishes that were very hard to find back then, under slab insulation, high performance windows, like we ended up paying for those upgrades, and that came out of pocket, but we looked at it as us teaching ourselves an educational opportunity for us to learn from and to be able to carry on the next one. And it was great for marketing. High performance window, if you are to pick one and you're not able to install like the European ones or ones that aren't familiar to your framers, usually framers are ones around us that do install them. KHPP, they used to be Serious Window. They're awesome. They're out of Pennsylvania. They looks just like a window that you would see standard wise if it's super heavy. It's got the little film in the middle. I think Alpine window kind of carried on after that later. But this is a great window to go with that they can put in without any training. And then, so what happened next? So I had that open for a few months. We won some awards, and we're flown to Germany and with Saint-Gobain, and we won runner-up on sustainability and stuff, which is really cool. It brought in a lot of sales, which is great because there was like 50 lots that were vacant in that neighborhood, and we sparked. We're the first to build in there since the economy turned and it started to come back in 2012. We were ready to buy like 10 lots for new contract builds, and these were contract builds. The realtor didn't respond. We didn't hear. We talked to the bank. Finally, he responded, and then told us the whole neighborhood was sold to his friend. And so, we helped start up some building in that neighborhood, and then we didn't get to, keep it going, to keep it mainstream. But we had to go back to the drawing board. So we kept on keeping on. My cousin in Texas was pretty blown away with it. We called that My Green Kentucky Home, playing off of song My Old Kentucky Home. And he'd asked if I'd help him with this custom build. And I told him I'd help him if he just listened, asked questions, went back, did quote unquote research. That's for you, Zach Semke. Your wife, PhD, tells you that you do not do research when you are preparing for your speeches. But so he came back to me. He's like, well, this stuff makes a lot of sense, and he decided that he wanted to take a jump and run with it. And so here's a result here. Let's see if this will work.
We are not Kentucky. We're in Houston, Texas, building one of Texas's greenest, most energy efficient, healthy homes. I'm Safi with GCCM Construction Services. I'll show you how it's done. Safi, how you doing?
How you doing? Great to see you. Well, hold on. Let me shut this. I'm not gonna let you see inside the house.
Hey, you look great, man.
Appreciate
You know,
great too.
You gotta show me around. I feel like I'm in this oasis, this garden, this
Well, first thing you notice, all the landscaping in this whole house.
Okay.
All right. Are y'all able to still hear me? I'm going to take you to the end because it was all just a bunch of show.
In language, you told me go do your research and come back. So you know what? I did my research. And you know what? It all just makes sense. If you just take the time to do the research and understand it, it will make sense. The cost to the benefit is just phenomenal. My wife sat down, we talked about it, and I was like, you know what? Why am I not doing this? Why do I not want to build like this? Yeah. Why are people building houses the same way we built in the 70s, put a little spray foam and call it efficient? There's more to it.
But you know what's interesting? I feel like you're talking like me now, and I would be doing you a disservice if I did not expose you to what we all don't know about.
Exactly. Right.
And that's scary, not knowing that we are putting our lives at risk. We're putting our environment at risk. We're putting so many things out there. We're doing things that might be status quo that we don't really know.
Yes, all the energy efficiencies and all of the environment-friendly stuff that we're doing to improve the air quality. But you know what it's also doing? Saving them money in their pocket.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference for the average homeowner.
It does.
They want to save money. And if you can use the building science to save money and help Mother Nature, it's a win-win for everybody.
It's a
so
win.
Teacher to student, and hopefully I will have a student to pass it on to.
I hope so too. Wow. What is most impressive to me is how he embraced sustainability with LEED. The end results are amazing. Not only is he helping his family, but he's also helping the environment. I'm Safi with GCCM Construction Services. This is how it's done.
All right. So that was another thing that we put together to try to get folks to, you know, just kind of normalize it and be able to get them to see that it's being picked up. And a lot of times when you do get a client, you know, someone that's willing to go along with your craziness, then that's the person that you want to run with. And let's see if this is the right screen as I jump back. That, you know, that was cool and stuff. And it's interesting because a lot of times the challenges that we have with people that have a lot of money, you know, they kind of don't value that. And a lot of times, you know, an energy bill doesn't matter to them. But, you know, we're starting to see that kind of shift a little bit, which is great. Normally it's like we won't do monster homes and stuff like that. We don't encourage it. But I mean, you have to really, if somebody's asking you about this stuff and they are open to it, then it's better we do it than somebody else. And because if we know that we can at least have the conversations with folks that are building an almost 8,000 square foot home and an ADU on top of that, you know, then at least we could do it passive house, you know, high performance. And so we actually had the conversation about passive house. Since I didn't do it on the previous Migrant Kentucky home, he was worried about, you know, putting that on top of there, but we still implemented passive house principles. And so we did do ICF, and you can see here the house, they did do solar in the back. You can see it got 20 panels, I think, on there. And believe it or not, this house, it performs phenomenally. They did do, well, for the areas that were low bearing over top of ceilings and stuff, we did a split wall up top. So you can see in the top left corner of that picture, that's a frame wall on the exterior. You know, we encouraged built-ins and then something kind of cool down there in the bottom right corner for pools, because pools are very prominent in Houston, it's in Texas in general. Going with a California 90, like doing 245s helps you get a lot of efficiency for your pumps and stuff, which is cool. So, you know, some fuck ups trying to convince a client to go smaller. If they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. In fact, you know, they kind of added some room on this. You know, you want to try your best to have folks to get a real architect involved, even if it is talking with schematics, and especially if you can get an architect that's a CPHC. You know, even an architect that says they're green may not necessarily understand the form factor. And so that's a huge thing here. You know, the hard duct in lieu of flex, better hot water distribution systems, like they got 10 bathrooms. I mean, they could have done something better there. So something they did listen to also was go with as many fixed windows as you can, because, you know, at least those won't leak air. And then if you're going to go with an operable window, go with a casement, because at least you can get them to shut and seal all the way around. Steer them clear away from the double hungs and stuff and single hungs. And then, you know, don't be shy. If they're going to call on you to ask for help to build something, always give your best recommendations early and upfront, you know, because you have to let folks know that, listen, you know, you came to us for a reason, and, you know, we're here to look out for your best interests. And The fact that we are encouraging you to decrease the amount of your program and the size of your home is really for your best interest. And if you're thinking about numbers, most builders want to go larger so they can have a higher fee on that. So, you know, if you think about it, we're not really thinking about the money here, we're thinking about you. But excuse me. So like in Texas, you can almost get away with, like if you're building your own home in different parts of Texas, you could build without inspection at all. But again, especially like in this space, they didn't have to build with any inspections, but we always recommend to hire engineers to test along the way, geotechs and structurals and all that. Excuse me. So form factor again is big. And then the simpler the roof you can get them to do, it's optimal amount for future solar. So if you look back here at this roof, you know, you got those two bump outs there with the hipped roofs on the right and left. We could have easily made something like flat and just one hip or something like that, but you know, they went that way. So they kind of lost some opportunities there to do more solar on top of there. They are looking at, actually, we're talking today, they're looking at bifacials, they're looking at putting some outdoor structures, you know, for the outdoor spaces. So then we looked for another opportunity to do another model home of some sort, while still doing like commercial and residential of other projects. So 2016, Homerama in Louisville, Kentucky was a great opportunity because there was a new urbanism development. It's like, oh, great, we could touch on so many things with, you know, passive house, living building challenge, well, you know, being on a small lot close to homes, so you can still show people that you can have a lot of indoor outdoor connections in nature, lots of outdoor space, lots of natural light, you can produce energy, you can make it look like a, you know, an old home, you know, historic, because it's kind of pretentious in a way by recreating, I guess, the past, but you know, that's what that neighborhood is. And so we started out with some fun sketches. And if you look on the left, like I'm like, all right, let's see if we can do this. It's like a shotgun lot, it's deep lot, it's narrow. Try to keep it simple with the form and shape. And I know that, you know, we have, you know, a lower roof deck and we want outdoor spaces. And the second iteration was kind of like another idea, threw some numbers at it. We're like, I don't know, 700,000. Okay, maybe we can do it for that. And then, so, you know, we get going and then my juices get going. Like, I got to show everybody everything, you know? So it's like, you know, we had the footings made with geofoam troughs, and, you know, you can see them, we put rebar in there. They're pretty amazing to work with, poured them, they were great. Did the 6 inches of geofoam beneath the slab. You know, now look at the shape of the thing. It turned out to be, you know, our architect really wanted to have a lot of features, and you know, it got chopped up, and I wasn't happy about that, but we're under the gun to get on the way, and I had to keep the team happy too, because, you know, you have folks, you know, rallying behind you. And so, you know, you want to make a feature home. Down on the bottom right picture, you can see that little, looks like a hole dug down in there that ends up being a rainwater collection tank over under the patio. Then you have, let's see, these bucks here on the left. I got a window buck, that ICF window buck, that's kind of thermal break. And then, you know, you could see to the right of that, this is the bottom left picture. To the right of that, there's a 2x4 stud wall frame there. So prior to this, I got my CPHC and my CPHB, and I'm like, all right, Woofy was not terrible to model, being that we had a bunch of squares, which was great, but the actual getting to where you need to be to meet the heating, cooling demand loads, and you know, the marks that we needed to get it certified. We needed an R40 wall, when in this area you could get away with like a 30 or less or so. So that's why we had to fur that wall out on the inside. And then if you look down at the bottom right picture, we even did a dense pack fiberglass in there. So that got us to an R40. You know, it turned out beautifully. This won some awards, got a lot of attention locally and just around other areas. So we followed well. We followed, you know, living building, you know, challenge with some pedal certifications, and and Passive House. And so every bit of this was done by hand. Like all of the sealing was with Prosico and some tapes and zip, and we got this thing by hand down to 0.5 ACH on the first try, which is pretty amazing. But you know, it took this like this lift down here to get around the whole thing, and it is costly. But it's a beautiful result. I don't know if you know Russ Smith from, it used to be for the University of Louisville. He's playing pro ball overseas. We had this for about 4 years as a model. He ended up buying it. He was on the 2013 National Championship of the Cardinals. And this is another video we did just to like put it out there to help folks, I guess, get an understanding. So, you know, you learn that when you speak too much technical and building science, people understand. So I had to come in and try to do it as relatable as possible. And I'll just do a brief.
Welcome to Suverde, the proud green home of Louisville. I'm Safi with Ubergreen Spaces and Homes. You are in for a treat. This house was designed around health and wellness in spaces. We consider that indoor air quality is usually 3 to 5 times worse than outside air. And what we've done to make this home really healthy is we've sealed all the cracks in the home that you typically find in the windows, in the walls, in the ceilings, and through the doors. And we've also insulated this house really, really well. So you see the walls are very thick with insulation. And we have a window that is thick and sealed on the inside of the sash and also in the frame. And when you close it down, it closes like a vault. So this is like your savings to energy and comfort. And since they're European windows, they tilt as well for fresh air if you'd like it. One of the other great things that we do in this house for health and wellness is that we have all these windows on the south side, allowing a lot of natural light to come into the space, which is very important because the color of light that goes through our optic nerve will affect the way that we operate in our energy throughout the day, and it'll also affect the way we sleep. Now, since this house is airtight, what do we do about the solution of having ventilation?
So essentially, you know, went downstairs, looked at the Zender Comfo 550, and we got the ICF walls we show what's under the floor and the stego and the tape. And then we got the EWS, we're a dealer for the whole home filtration systems. And we go to top and we look at the solar, and then we show the energy bill for
Paying for the basic service charges.
about $12.
I'm Safi with,
and so that's that. And then you know, here's some details. Another thing that's like, dang it, should not have gone all the way up with ICF, but we did it because we wanted to show it, and we wanted to talk about fortified for safer living, and we wanted to talk about, you know, durability and resilience and all those great things. But if you look at this detail, you see the footing. We do have former drain down there on the sides of footing, which is really cool. We do have the footing trough. We have the ICF going all the way up. We got the framed wall on the inside of that. And then in the ceilings, we actually did do spray foam underneath the primary roof, the flat roof. So we did a commercial type roof with layers of polyiso, and then dense pack fiberglass, and then an area of a second floor wall that was over top of an area that could not bear on the ICF. That was a double stud wall, which was interesting. We did a kind of a flash and bat on that. And then, you know, form factor, form factor. Gosh, yeah, we had an R100 in that attic, and we did not have to go that far, but that's what we had to do to get this thing to meet the certifications, because of all those inside outside corners. Sheesh. So right size design is great for everyone, but not for everyone. So in Kentucky, you know, really in a lot of places in the country, you're dealing with folks that get wowed by just, wow, this room's big. Wow, this room's big. You know, it's great. So they put a lot of value in those things. European windows and doors, make sure you do them per manufacturer's instructions. Send your submittals or just details to them, because they have great information and great, learning, stuff they'll teach you for installation that'll make you get it right the first time. So don't be scared if some of your UPVC windows might have little bows and no sashes, because sometimes they do have a little warp in it, but you just got to learn how to properly adjust them, and the seals will take care of it. Hardware upgrades aren't always necessarily, worth the cost. They function right, but if they're going to pay for it, they'll pay for it. Always hardwire your EVR controls, even if you have a wireless option. So, when you have that switch or that button in the bathroom, just hardwire it to the unit so you don't ever have any issues. No need for fancy home automation if you don't have to, because the beauty of what you're going to do here allows you to set it and forget it, and you can go on and enjoy your life. Footing geofoam trough, you could design it out with proper modeling and savings. So if you have continuous insulation on the slab, under the slab, hitting your walls and things like that, proper MEP coordination, sleeves in the ICF, anywhere you need it, or just regular foundations and whatever's needed to feed utilities, pre-pipe of all future thoughts like solar ready, waste lines to the other structures, irrigation. So most value in a home is added value items that get the home passive house standards and perform. So those are areas that we started to begin, like, okay, the structure is really where you get the biggest bang for your buck. And that's, if you're following passive house, you're talking about the site, the orientation, way the sun's going, and then you're doing you're designing the walls and such, and the roof, and then fenestration. Then you're getting into fresh air and all those other things. But we noticed here that you truly can get your value out of that Appraisal Institute's Residential Green Energy Efficiency Addendum. If you don't use it, you're not going to get appraised properly. This house appraised much higher than other homes in the neighborhood. I think like 360 or about 375 a foot, when other ones are like 200, 250, 220. I have another example of another home we did after this one that was, they initially worked with a lender, and they used this energy efficient addendum, like we said. They appraised it like 770. It was pretty close to where it should be. And then they went with another lender. The other lender didn't listen with their appraiser. It appraised at 550. So there's a big difference in whether you use this and the appraiser uses it or not. If your appraiser doesn't use it, get rid of them and find another one, or make your bank get another one. This one's really cool. In 2019, this is a shed on a small farm in Kentucky. They want to create a grow house out of it, and I was like, okay, the passive house grow house. And so they fixed the structure up and stuff, and so we came in and we did the peel stick, and we became an aero barrier dealer at the time, because we've learned through these different projects over the years that there's not a lot of folks that know how to do these self-performed things, or subs that can do it. That's why we've taught ourselves to do it. We went from a 33 air changes an hour to 3 air changes an hour just in this stage of the building. We're mainly just kind of playing around with the equipment, but we did go ahead and finish it off. We built out the bucks, did Proseco, we did the 3 inches of EPS, vapor open, did the furring strips, and then we had solar on top. When you can't find any passive house barn doors, you just make them. So we made them, and here's some more pictures. They like redundancy, and so they wanted to be able to multiple mini splits. They wanted to have multiple fresh air systems. We did the Zender. Which one was this one? This is the really nice one right now. It's escaping me, but it also balances itself, which is pretty amazing. We install those ourselves. Yeah, it's I think it's a 600, but anyways, it's great because it does balance itself out. And we've never done a grow house, but they wanted to use this because they make their own grow lights, which is really cool. And they're growing hemp, and they're using it to make seeds. And Kentucky doesn't allow marijuana yet, but what was really awesome is that we're able to apply passive house principles, just understanding what they needed to do to grow these plants without cross-pollination was a big thing. And so we made this thing airtight. Then we had layers of different filters within the system. And I don't know if you can see in the background where the Zender unit is up in the air, there is like a manifold there, and that has, I think, layers of charcoal filters and different MRF, whatever filters. And, and then, we got called to other projects to fix things for people. And essentially we are, there was folks that used Zola. We consulted on this house years ago. They didn't do exactly what we told them to do, and they didn't communicate with Zola at the time. So if you're on the left, you see there's only 2 LVL beams. There really should be 6. And so this like 12-inch wide, 3 panel, 18-foot wide, 10-foot tall lift slide door was only 1/3 on a load bearing. And so we had to change it. It's cost $60,000 later. We had to actually toss what was there and put new in, and it worked swimmingly. One thing that's kind of cool, we're trying to get away from certainly, high carbon materials, with a lot of embodied energy. So when you look at this third picture, from the left, that's kind of an idea of that's like, no, you don't want to spray foam over mechanicals and stuff. And so that was really hard to find mechanicals and reroute things for the things that had happened there. And the picture on the right kind of also put us in another direction on a different house that we were working on. And it's like so much time can be saved, and money can be saved and sent back to the clients if you're able to panelize. And so this 2019 project got us looking for a warehouse to do panelization, split wall. And so, look at the ladders, look at every little piece of, dot of joint and seam filler that we had to do over nail heads. There's a lot of work involved there. So we have a 7.5 ton crane in the space we have. There's a wall panel. There's a couple examples. We got into mods. We've done some containers. We are doing some right now. So we're looking at ways to help provide solutions. We're also into placemaking and placekeeping. And so, helping communities, and this was for a community college that is in the downtown area, it's Louisville. Then we got getting into ADUs. We're rolling out an ADU series. And these are some elevations, trying to keep them simple. This gives you an idea of 3 options, solo, the mini, solo, and a duo. You can add on if you want, trying to keep it simple. And we actually, we did draw a tiny because some people want something even smaller. So we took the mini and chopped out the program to the north there and left a little hallway. But these ADUs are, these are standard size, cabinets, standard size appliances, because they're a little easier for people to grasp on, but they're from 435 square feet to 826. And let's see, here's another shot of it. We're working with an affordable housing developer, trying to help them come up with affordable passive house, and this will be panelized soon. So we're taking any turnkey projects we have and panelize them. I've also become a partner, or I started a development company a couple years ago with a few other colleagues, and so we're looking at urban revitalization in areas that are kind of like forgotten places in cities, and so trying to build pathways to equity and workforce development, and obviously doing it the way we do it with passive house, living, building, and well. And sorry about the noise. And so this is a 17-acre brownfield that we're working on right now, and I'll keep it from being disclosed just yet, because we still need, we've gathered information obviously from what the city has talked to the community about, what their needs and wants are, but that kind of engagement was just like kind of like a night thing, one evening at the community center, and but we use that information to kind of inform these things, because we have to create a pro forma, we have to be able to create our capital stack and get this thing funded. But this is on the hush. I can't obviously handle something like this in this volume and do the development at the same time. My partners, that's why Onion Flats is our partners, Tim and Howard. They're our design architects, and Luckett and Farley is our local architect of record, is also doing design as well. But this is something that we're working on to hopefully have happen sooner than later. To the north of the site is affordable housing, and portions of it could be workforce housing. It's going to be all passive house. There will be building is involved and living building challenge involved as well, but our premise obviously of building science is passive house. The dark blue you see here is solar. So we'll be producing more. This large building at the bottom is a distribution space and offices for a local company that is a pretty big company. An iteration of what may happen to this too is that we're probably going to have a different tenant share space here and take about 100,000 away from the distribution for health and wellness focused entity, and that could add another 130,000. So we got 240 units, I think 300,000 right now as you see it, but we'll do 220 for the distribution, all green, clean manufacturing as well, and then 130,000 square feet for a health and wellness type entity. Then along the street front in the pink on the left you see is also beautiful commercial retail that also is amenities. Here's what you could see from the street, and you don't really see a warehouse. You see something beautiful, and it's pedestrian friendly, and that's a beautiful big canopy there with bifacial solar. And here's some gathering areas, and that's it. Thank you, everyone, and I thank a lot of friends and colleagues. It's been a long journey, certainly, and we're trying to take this in a direction that hopefully can help volumes and volumes of people, a lot of people, and that's why I've been focusing on taking this, a lot of the turnkey projects, implementing our panels and and then offering it hopefully to everyone that would want it. And we also are self-performing a lot of things that people don't do, the ERVs, the putting in those tough windows and doors, and all the things that we had to learn on the way through that we think that we can help others. So we work for builders, we work for homeowners directly. So we try to help everybody, and by doing large scale stuff too, we hope to be able to be a solution with Passive House and the other great programs out there. Folks that I do want to thank, for a long time, I've certainly known Zach. He's been a wonderful friend and colleague. Dan Whitmore, Adam Cohen, those guys were certainly trainers of mine, but friends as well. Brandon Weiss, friend, colleague, Graham Irwin. There's also Prudence. There's, the late Sam Hagerman, Skylar. I can go on. There's so many wonderful folks, and you all obviously from Passive House Alliance.